Job chapter 35. Then Elihu answered, saying, Do you think this is just? Do you say, My righteousness is greater than God's? For you ask, What will it profit you, and what do I gain by not sinning? I will answer you and your friends with you. Look up at the heavens and see. Consider the clouds so high above you. If you sin, how does it affect him? If your transgressions are many, what do you do to him? If you are righteous, what do you give him? Or what does he receive from your hand? Your wickedness is for a man like yourself, and your righteousness for a son of man. Because of a multitude of oppressions, they cry out. They cry for help because of the power of the Almighty, but no one says, Where is God, my Maker, who gives songs in the night, who teaches us more than the animals of the earth, who makes us wiser than the birds of the sky? And there they cry out, but he does not answer, because of the pride of the wicked. Indeed, God does not hear an empty cry. Shaddai pays no attention to it. How much less when you say that you do not perceive him, that the case is before him, and you must wait for him, and further, that his anger does not punish, and that he does not know transgression. So Job opens his mouth with nonsense. Without knowledge, he multiplies words. Chapter 36. Then Elihu said further, Be patient with me a bit longer, and I will show you that there is more to say on God's behalf. I get my knowledge from afar. I ascribe righteousness to my Maker, for truly my words are not false. One who is perfect in knowledge is with you. Indeed, God is mighty, but despises none. He is mighty in strength of understanding. He does not keep the wicked alive, but gives justice to the afflicted. He does not take his eyes from the righteous, but enthrones them with kings and exalts them forever. But if they are bound in chains and held captive by cords of affliction, then he declares to them their deed, that they have transgressed arrogantly, and he opens their ear to instruction and commands that they turn from evil. If they obey and serve, they will end their days in prosperity, and their years in happiness. But if they do not listen, they will perish by the sword and die without knowledge. The godless in heart harbor anger. They do not cry for help, even when he binds them. Their souls die in youth. Their life ends among cult prostitutes. He delivers the afflicted by his affliction and opens their ear in oppression. And indeed, he will draw you from the mouth of distress to a spacious place without constraint, in the comfort of a table full of rich food. But you are full of judgment on the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold of you. Beware lest wrath entice you with riches, for a large bribe turn you aside. Will your wealth sustain you to keep you from distress, or even all your mighty efforts? Do not long for the night when people vanish from their places. Be careful, do not turn to iniquity, for you have chosen this rather than affliction. Indeed, God is exalted in his power. Who is a teacher like him? Who has prescribed his way for him, or said, You have done wrong? Remember to magnify his work, of which people have sung. All mankind has seen it. People gaze on it from afar. Behold, God is exalted beyond our knowledge. The number of his years is unsearchable, for he draws up the drops of water, then distill rain into its mist, which the clouds pour down and shower mankind abundantly. Indeed, who can understand the spreading of the clouds and the thunder from his pavilion? See how he scatters his lightning about him, covering the depths of the sea. For by these he judges peoples and supplies food in abundance. He covers his hands with lightning and commands it to strike its target. His thunder declares his presence, the cattle also about what is coming. Chapter 37. At this my heart trembles and leaps from its place. Listen carefully to the roar of his voice, the rumbling that comes from his mouth. Under the whole heaven he lets it loose, and his light to the ends of the earth. After that, a voice roars. He thunders with his majestic voice. He does not hold them back when his voice is heard. God thunders wondrously with his voice. He does great things beyond our comprehension. For to the snow he says, fall to the earth, and to the torrential rain be a mighty downpour of rain. He seals the hand of every man, so that all men will know his work. The animal go into their lairs, they remain in their dens. Out of its chamber comes the storm, and icy cold from the driving wind. From the breath of God frost is made, and the watery expanse freezes. He loads the cloud with moisture, he scatters his cloud of lightning. It swirls around by his guidance to do whatever he commands on the face of the inhabited world, whether it is a rod of punishment, or for his land, or for loving kindness, he causes it to happen. Listen to this, Job. Stand and consider God's wonders. Do you know how God orders them and makes the lightning flash in his cloud? Do you know the balancing of clouds, the wonders of him who has perfect knowledge? You whose clothes are hot when the earth is still because of the south wind, can you with him stretch out the skies, strong as a mirror of molten metal? Teach us what to say to him. We cannot prepare a case because of the darkness. Should he be informed that I want to speak? If a man speaks, would he be swallowed up? But now they do not see the light, bright as it is in the skies, until the wind has passed and cleared the clouds away. Out of the north he comes in golden splendor. Around God is awesome majesty. Shaddai, we cannot find him. He is great in power and justice, and abundant righteousness he does not oppress. Therefore people fear him. He does not regard all the wise of heart. Chapter 38. Then Adonai answered Job out of the whirlwind. He said, who is this who darkens counsel with words without knowledge? Now gird up your loins like a man. I will question you, and you will inform me. Where were you when I laid the foundations of earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Who set its dimensions if you know, or who stretched a line over it? On what were its foundations set, or who laid its cornerstone? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy. And who shut up the sea behind doors when it burst forth from the womb? When I made a cloud its garment, and thick darkness its swaddling cloth, when I prescribed my boundary for it, and set bars and gates, when I said, this far you may come, but no farther, here your majestic waves will stop. Have you ever in your life commanded the morning, or caused dawn to know its place, that it would take hold of the corners of the earth and shake the wicked out of it? It changes shape like clay under a seal. They stand out like those of a garment, and from the wicked their light is withheld, and the upraised arm is broken. Have you gone to the springs of the sea, or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have the gates of death been revealed to you? Have you seen the gates of the deepest darkness? Have you comprehended the expanses of the earth? If you know it all, declare it. In what direction does light dwell in darkness? Where is its place, that you can take it to its borders and discern the path to its home? Surely you know, for you were born then, and the number of your days is great. Have you entered that storehouses of snow, or seen the storehouses of hail, which I reserved for a time of distress, for a day of battle and war? In what direction is light distributed, or the east wind scattered over the earth? who cuts a channel for the flood and a path for the thunderstorm, to cause it to rain on an uninhabited land, a desert with no one in it, to satisfy a devastated and desolate land, and cause it to sprout grass. Does the rain have a father, or who has birthed the drops of dew? From whose womb comes the ice, and who gives birth to the frost of heaven, when the water is high like stone, and the surface of the deep is frozen? Can you bind the chains of Pleiades, or loosen the belt of Orion? Do you bring out the constellation in their season, or guide the bear with her cubs? Do you know the ordinances of the heavens? Can you set up dominion over the earth? Can you raise your voice to the clouds and cover yourself with an abundance of water? Can you send out lightning bolts so they go? Will they say to you, "Here we are"? Who put wisdom in the secret place, or gave understanding to the mind? Who can count the clouds by wisdom, or tip over the water jars of heaven, when dust hardens into a mass and clods of earth sticks together? Do you hunt prey for the lioness, or satisfy the hunger of young lions when they crouch in their dens, or lie in wait in the thicket? Who arranges provision for the raven when its young cry out to God and wander out for lack of food? Chapter 39. Do you know when the mountain goats give birth? Do you observe the calving doe? Do you count the months they fulfill, and do you know the time when they give birth, when they kneel and bring forth their young, and their labor pains end? Their young thrive and grow strong in the open field. They leave and never return to them. Who set the wild donkey free? Who released the bonds? Who released the bonds of the wild ass? To whom I gave the Arabah as its home, the salt land as its dwelling place. It scorns the commotion in the town. It does not hear the taskmaster's shouts. It explores the mountains as its pasture and searches after every green thing. Is the wild ox willing to serve you? Will it spend the night at your manger? Will you bind a wild ox to a furrow with his rope? Will it plow valleys behind you? Will you rely on it for its great strength? Will you leave your labor to it? Can you trust it to bring in your seed and gather it to your threshing floor? The wings of the ostrich flap joyously, but are they the pinions and plumage of a stork? For she leaves her eggs on the ground and lets them warm in the soil, and forgets that a foot may crush them, that a wild beast may trample them. She treats her young ones harshly, as if they were not hers. She is not concerned that her labor was in vain, for God did not endow her with wisdom, or give her a share of understanding. When she lifts herself to flee, she laughs at the horse and its rider. Do you give the horse its strength? Do you clothe its neck with a mane? Do you cause him to leap like locusts? His majestic snorting is terrifying. He paws in the valley, and exulting in his strength, he charges into the fray. He laughs at fear and is not dismayed. He does not recoil from the sword. On him the quiver rattles, and spear and javelin flash. With quaking and excitement he swallows up the ground. He cannot stand still when the shofar sounds. At the blast of the shofar, he says, "Aha!" From a distance he smells battle, and the shouts of the captain and the battle cry. Is it by your wisdom that the hawk soars, spreading its wings towards the south? Is it by your command that an eagle soars and builds its nest high? It dwells on a cliff and spends the night there, on a rocky crag and stronghold. From there it searches for food, its eyes detect it from afar. Its young ones suck up blood, and where the slain are, there it is. Chapter 40. Then Adonai answered Job, saying, Will the one who contends with Shaddai correct him? Let him who accuses God answer. Then Job answered Adonai. He said, Indeed, I am unworthy. What can I reply to you? I put my hand over my mouth. I spoke once, but I have no answer. Twice, but I will say no more. Then Adonai answered Job from the whirlwind. Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you will inform me. Would you really annul my judgment? Would you condemn me to justify yourself? Do you have an arm like God's, and can you thunder with a voice like his? Then adorn yourself in majesty and dignity. Clothe yourself in splendor and honor. Scatter the fury of your anger. Look at every proud person and bring him low. Look at everyone who is proud and humble him. Tread down the wicked where they stand. Hide them together in the dust. Bind their faces in the hidden place. Then I, even I, will acknowledge to you that your own right hand can save you. Look now at Behemoth, which I made along with you. He eats grass like an ox. Now look at his strength in his loins and his power in the muscles of his belly. He stiffens his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his thighs are knit together. His bones are tubes of bronze, his limbs like rods of iron. He is first among the ways of God. Let his maker draw near with his sword. For the mountains bring him food, and all the wild animals play there. Under the lotus plants he lies down in the secrecy of the reeds and marsh. The lotuses conceal him in their shade. The willows of the brook surround him. If the river rages, he is not alarmed. He is secure even though the Jordan surges against his mouth. Can anyone capture it by its eyes or pierce his nose with hooks? Can you pull in Leviathan with a hook or tie down his tongue with a cord? Can you put a reed rope in his nose or pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he make many supplications to you or speak softly to you? Will he make a covenant with you so you can take him as a slave forever? Can you play with him like a bird or put him on a leash for your girls? Will traders barter for him? Will they divide him among the merchants? Can you fill his hide with harpoons or his head with fishing spears? If you lay your hands on him, you will remember the battle and never do it again. Chapter 41. See, his hope is wrong. He is laid low, even the sight of him. Is he not fierce when he is aroused? Who then is able to stand before me? Who has confronted me that I should repay? Everything under this heaven belongs to me. I will not keep silent about his limbs or his might or the grace of his arrangement. Who can strip off his outer garments? Who can penetrate his double armor? Who can open the doors of his face, ringed with fearsome teeth? His rows of shield are his pride, shut up closely as with a tight seal. Even so, close to the next, that no air can pass between. They are joined one together. They collapse to each other and cannot be separated. He sneezes out flashes of light. His eyes are like the eyelids of dawn. Out of his mouth go flames. Sparks of fire shoot out. Smoke pours from his nostrils as a boiling pot over burning reeds. His breath sets coals ablaze and flames dart from his mouth. Strength resides in his neck. Dismay runs before him. The folds of his flesh are tightly joined. They are firm on him, immovable. His heart is hard as a rock, hard as a lower millstone. When he rises up, the mighty are afraid. At his crashing they retreat. A sword that reaches him has no effect, nor with a spear, dart, or javelin. He regards iron as straw, bronze as rotten wood. Arrows do not make him flee. Sling stones become like chaff to him. A club is regarded as stubble. He laughs at the raveling of a lance. His underside are jagged potsherds, leaving a trail like a threshing sledge in mud. He makes the deep boil like a cauldron and stirs up the sea like a pot of ointment. He leaves a shining wake behind him, one who would think the deep had white hair. Nothing on dry land is his equal, a creature without fear. He sees every haughty thing. He is king over all who are proud. Chapter 42. Job answered Adonai and said, I know you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. You ask, who is this who darkens counsel without knowledge? Surely I spoke without understanding, things too wonderful for me which I did not know. You said, hear now, and I will speak. I will question you, and you will inform me. I had heard of you by the hearing of the ear, and now my eyes has seen you. Therefore I despise myself and repent on dust and ashes. After Adonai had spoken these words to Job, Adonai said to Eliphaz the Temanite, my anger is kindled against you and against your two friends, because you have not spoken about me what is right, like my servant Job has. So now take for yourselves 7 young bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job and offer a burnt offering for yourselves. My servant Job will pray for you, for I will accept Job's prayer and not deal with you according to your folly, because you have not spoken correctly about me, like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went and did what Adonai told them, and Adonai accepted Job's prayer. So Adonai restored what Job had lost after he prayed for his friends, and Adonai doubled everything that Job had before. Then all his brothers, all his sisters, and everyone who had known him before came to him and ate bread with him in his house. They consoled him and comforted him for all the calamity that Adonai had brought upon him. Each of them gave him a piece of money and a gold ring. So Adonai blessed Job's latter days more than at his beginning. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 10,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Kidden Hapuch. Nowhere in the land where there were found women as beautiful as the daughters of Job. Their father gave them an inheritance along with their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years. He saw his children and their children for 4 generations. And so Job died, old and full of days.